Alright, guys, at Love Clark again, and here we are with Chapter 3 of Germany and the Holy Roman Empire. And this Chapter 3 is called The Unholy Roman Empire. Let's begin. Look at that X. X marks the spot. Mark a Cain. Somewhere on a shelf in the average home, nestled between the complete works of Shakespeare and a partial set of Britannica, sits the Holy Bible, as good as new with a thin layer of dust on it from neglect. The majority of people who consider themselves Christians simply do not read and study the Bible. The best excuse for not reading the Bible is that it does not make sense. How can I understand it? Most reason when so much of it speaks metaphorically about great images, ominous beasts, and deceitful harlots. It's true that the Bible is filled with prophetic visions and utterances. In fact, 1/3 of the Bible is prophecy, most of which is for the end time. But the Bible also contains many prophecies which have already been fulfilled exactly as predicted. Those fulfilled prophecies should compel us to blow the dust off our Bibles and begin studying, but most people do not. Much of the Bible's most famous prophetic text centers around a system of successive world-ruling Gentile kingdoms that precede the second coming of Jesus Christ. These successive beasts, as they are called, are discussed throughout the Bible, but especially in 4 prophetic chapters: Daniel 2 and 7, Revelation 13 and 17. Studied in that order, each chapter adds a few more. Sorry, got to turn it. Ooh, pictures. Adds a few more details to the one preceding it. Together they build a complete and yet simple foundation for all Bible prophecy. In Daniel 2, you'll find the best one-chapter overview of prophecy in all the Bible. There, God reveals through Daniel a vision of a great image representing these 4 successive kingdoms. History proves these to be the Chaldean Empire, followed by the Persian, then the Greco-Macedonian, and finally the Roman Empire. These 4 were to continue in succession right up to the second coming of Jesus Christ. In Daniel 7, the prophet describes 4 beasts, again representing 4 Gentile kingdoms, but with equal emphasis on the 4th, the Roman Empire. This beast has 10 horns, which the prophet says are 10 kings that shall arise out of or after the Roman Empire. Daniel also describes a little horn, which grew among the 10 horns and uprooted the first 3. The meaning of this prophecy is made plain in the book of Revelation. Unlike Daniel 7, Revelation 13 only discusses one beast, which represents the 4th and final kingdom, the Roman Empire. Because John lived during the rule of the Roman Empire when he wrote the book of Revelation, he had little to say about the 3 previous kingdoms. They were already fulfilled prophecy. In chapter 13, John describes a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, one head of which received a deadly wound. Historians agree that the Roman Empire existed from 31 BC to AD 476, at which point the kingdom was crushed. It died, but its deadly wound was healed just as John prophesied. Verse 3, there were to be 10 resurrections to come out of that Roman Empire, just as Daniel said, the first 3 of which were plucked up by the roots by the little horn, suggesting that they were not altogether Roman, but nevertheless ruled within the ancient Roman territory after the empire collapsed. And that's what happened. Their 3 barbaric tribes did rule in the region before Justinian restored the Roman Empire in AD 554 and effectively healed the deadly wound. Revelation 17 fills in the remaining details in the chapter. Once again, John describes a beast with 7 heads, but none of these heads is wounded. This time a woman, which throughout the Bible symbolizes a church, is riding the beast. She is called a whore in verse 1, and therefore symbolizes a great false church which rides or heavily influences this political beast. Comparing this historical account with these prophecies makes the meaning quite clear. When Justinian recognized the supremacy of the Pope in 554, there's that 3. 554, the Roman Empire was revived, and because of the close association with the great Roman the Roman Empire was revived, and because of its close association with the great false church, this empire eventually assumed the name Holy Roman Empire. Counting Justinian's empire, there have been 6 major historically documented resurrections of the so-called Holy Roman Empire, all of which have been heavily influenced and in some cases dominated by the Vatican. These historical facts shed light on the prophetic passages we have briefly covered, like the woman riding the beast in Revelation 17. The little horn in Daniel 7 represents the great false church. The little horn uprooted the 3 non-religious kingdoms ruling within the region, and then proceeded to guide the 7 remaining horns or resurrections. Similarly, the woman riding the beast holds sway over all 7 heads, which represent the last 7 resurrections of what has been called the Holy Roman Empire. That brings us to the purpose for this chapter. There have been 6 resurrections of the Holy Roman Empire, with the great false church straddling them all. The 7th is now forming. These nations, though heavily influenced by religion, have been anything but holy. Students of the Bible are not surprised by this fact, because the Bible describes this political force as a terrifying beast, and a great church as the mother of harlots, drunken with the blood of God's saints. But most people do not read the Bible. Then what about history? Sad to say, most do not study history either. In this chapter, let us take a closer look at the historical relationship between European emperors and the papal throne throughout the Middle Ages. What are the historical fruits of the union of church and state, and how do these unions square the Bible with Bible prophecy? As we briefly review these historical events, you will notice how Germany has, for most of the Middle Ages, been the most dominant influence in Europe. Alright, guys. I'm going to stop there because it's going to... Oh. Let's see here. Oh, no. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, we'll stop in there. Alright. Pretty good. Yeah. So, that was that. Hopefully we learned something. Any questions or whatever, let me know.